Welcome to the Pause Awards show, where we invite past winners and future judges to talk about their journeys, inspirations, and lessons learned in their professional careers and beyond. My name is George Hedden, and I'm a founder of Pause Fest and Pause Awards. Pause Awards are celebrating business achievements of impactful businesses that ultimately go to build better ecosystems. And today, I'm speaking with our awards judge. Exciting. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's good to have you. Would you mind telling us a little bit about Australian Centre for Social Innovation? From what I've learned, you help governments, not-for-profits, philanthropy, and businesses to make change that leads to better lives. Um,
Absolutely.
and would you mind sort of expanding a little bit on that? What happens behind the doors?
Of course, yeah. So TAXI, as we are known, or the Australian Centre for Social Innovation, is actually a practicing social innovation lab. And we have a team drawn from across disciplines and across the world. And we've been operating for about 10 years. And we're leading social innovation projects across Australia as well as across the globe. And we partner with communities and organizations to put people at the heart of shaping their lives and societies. And really, I think together we tackle those big social challenges and build the conditions for social innovation to flourish. And we are an independent not-for-profit organisation. We were originally seed funded by the South Australian government. And now we maintain that sustainability through ongoing project work. And we are really blessed to partner with so many different communities across Australia, working with governments, with local councils, with not-for-profit and philanthropy and for-purpose businesses to really understand complex socioeconomic challenges and work with communities, work with citizens, and work with people right across the system to really understand those challenges, reframe those challenges, and find practical solutions or make practical progress so that people can lead better lives.
And those solutions, how do which sort of form they unfold? Is that sort of a communication kind of device, or is it some sort of, what kind of deliverables you guys have
Yeah,
for different,
sure.
of course, different
Well,
organizations?
given the complexity of the challenges that we face, or often we know that there is, of course, no solutions, but it is, of course, approaches on a sliding scale to be judged better or worse for the people that we serve and with the communities that we serve. But from a practical point of view, that really looks like partnering with communities to build capability for them to come together across their community to lead change, to voice for change, and to come together to imagine new futures of what are the changes that they'd like to see in the community. And of course, then we work across government and across different parts of sectors to bring people together to convene all of the knowledge and wisdom that sits on the front line, that sits with our policymakers, that sits with different people across our communities, to bring that knowledge and wisdom together and mix it up and find new ways to think about how can we address these challenges that so many people are facing across Australia, whether that's considering the future of home, whether that's considering how we build really regenerative communities, how we address mental well-being and mental health and really put people at the heart of our systems of care. And to look across disability, child protection and justice in new ways so that we are really ensuring that the systems of care that are built around us in Australia are sharing power. We are listening. We are ensuring that we lift up the voices of those who are experiencing those challenges to reimagine how we approach those things. So that it could be anything from those organizational change processes, building capability, co-designing policies, co-designing service models, and particular sort of long programs of work, often up 5, 10 years at a time, to create those changes that we need to create.
Those are some of the most sort of important challenges that you guys are working with, and as you said, some of them are taking quite a long time to actually implement and uh, research and sort of engage all different sort of stakeholders. And you guys are working across the world with the different sort of organizations, but also stakeholders and people that could sort of tackle different problems with the specific sort of background that they have. And you have a quite a interesting career here, from what I found. 17 years in private and public sector. You're a strategist, social designer, researcher, human-centered design specialist, focusing on approaches to improve people's lives and into the future. And you've done some and had some commercial experience and worked for agencies such as Microsoft, Sony, Volkswagen, and in Sydney, Tokyo, and London. So very colorful background, if I can put it. And now you are in public. Well, not you can say in public sector because you're dealing with the public sector, and it's a wonderful thing to have a knowledge of how the commercial world sort of functions, and how can you sort of help the governments and non-for-profits to sort of deliver on what the future is and what are the new challenges and how do we need to think and where we need to be, and how do you kind of do step by step to get there.
Yeah, look, it's I think at the heart of everything that I have been doing across, I guess, nearly 20 years is always been that sort of understanding problems and the curiosity that drives you to understand problems, to learn, to work with people, to see new perspectives. And I spent about 10 years in experience design in the commercial world, a lot of time in experiential marketing and creating spatial experiences as well, in brand marketing. And I had an amazing opportunity to work with someone at the University of Technology, Sydney, and it really opened my eyes to the power of these ways of working, the designerly ways of working, if I could use that phrase, to address social challenges. And so for the last 10 years working in that space, whether it is even in a management consultancy capacity, or in a variety of not-for-profits, including Barnardo's in the UK, is bringing different disciplines together and finding a way to enable the knowledge that is latent in all of these wonderful people that I'm so fortunate to work with, from different spaces, whether it's mental health or child protection or even actually counterterrorism and Indigenous housing, is to see all of these people come together and to walk into a room with, you know, such depth of knowledge and a particular way of viewing the world and a particular depth of knowledge, and then to be able to convene those people in a particular way, from all of those, from all walks of life and across different sectors, and for them to unlock something that wasn't there before they walked into that room or into that space or into that experience. Because after that experience, when they've found a new way of looking at that problem, and a new framing of that, and perhaps even overcome some potential challenges or tensions that each of them naturally will hold in such complex issues, to walk away with something new is quite special, and I feel really privileged to have seen that happen in a number of instances where those people who all have particular roles in our society, to walk away from that space and to see that and to make decisions differently after that experience, and in a positive light, perhaps have found a new perspective on that problem. I think the ripple effects of that is significant. And so I think that's what I always, in searching for, is to bring all of those people together, whether it's, right at the sort of decision making and where the power currently sits, right down to the wonderful wisdom that so many people in our caring systems, our front role in our communities hold, and to bring that together to unlock something really unique and special to move forward and to think about how we can improve people's lives.
Yeah, power of people is actually fascinating because that's where it all is. When you put those incredible people together and lead them into discovering new grounds and angles and opening their eyes to the future possibilities, and the magic is in facilitating that, that you do, which is it's very important work for us, for our societies. Yeah, thank you for doing that. I'm very grateful to have you part of the judging team this year at Pause Awards. We have a few awards that are in that sort of sustainability, be good, and circular ethics, and even sort of workplace culture. Um, that I think would be very exciting for you to see who applies, and what are those businesses and how they're sort of tackling these kind of topics.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see, who applies this year. I've seen some of the previous years' awards, and I think that this particular award is really important because I think it I don't think in approaching these complex challenges that we all face, I don't think it's about a social sector or a commercial sector. It needs us all to come together, and it needs us all to use our power and our knowledge together creatively. So I think this type of awards that Pause Awards offers is really able to hold up a beacon for others, and for others and organizations out there to see the type of impact that people are making and to see it's possible. And if you can show others that it's possible, then hopefully we can seed new ways of thinking, new ways of operating, and inspire others to think that it is possible and to take their own action as well.
Thank you. Similarly, like you do, inspire others to think differently, and be open to the changes. And we try here to do similar things with the companies that are maybe not even thinking about applying for awards, because there's not many awards for the early stage companies, and those are just forming businesses, and they might not think about, well, am I worth it? Why should I apply? But there is something about it that, once you start thinking about applying and thinking about yourself, thinking about what you do, reevaluating yourself, and understanding that you have actually made an impact to, your people, your stakeholders, the society. It kind of makes you think more about what else could you do. And we also want to sort of make sure that, people celebrate those milestones, and those business achievements, because most often we are not. When everything's good, we just go like, yeah, that's good, just move on, and we don't really pause to really think about, those moments, and celebrate them. So we set to change that and create the awards with the categories that just focus on all those milestones, and business achievements. And we kind of stirred away from, best in this, best in that type of awards, which are mostly out there and known. And again, for the businesses that are kind of just starting, and small to medium businesses, this is kind of what these awards are mostly for them. So yeah, It's really a pleasure to have you this year to look at what these new businesses are building, how they sort of tackling sort of problems, and how they succeeding in the marketplace.
Brilliant. I love that you are celebrating milestones. I think that is really important, and something that I remind myself and others about often is, it can feel so big and so vast and such a long pathway. It's really important that we stop and we pause and we reflect on what we've learned, what we've achieved. And I think that's inherent in all of the creative practices and the businesses that Pause Awards attracts, is that reflection in action, that learning, those learning organizations, and really thinking about, right, where do we need to be next, and what have we learned, and where should we go from here.
Yeah. How important are ecosystems for you? Because we think that, great businesses build great ecosystems, and ecosystems are kind of places where where everyone thrives, and that's basically what we're trying to essentially focus on by awarding those businesses and new businesses that will build companies that essentially will create a sort of thriving place for everybody. In your experience working with the public and private sector, how important is that in your work, or if you have kind of crossed it at all?
George, it started absolutely pouring down. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you, but I wasn't sure what that noise is. I thought it could be something, but I wasn't just sure. Are you safe? And
I'm safe. Excellent. We'll push on. The show goes on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we are close to finish, but I've been hearing some noises, and I wasn't sure. Maybe that was something. I didn't know that was rain. Yeah.
It's raining in Sydney. Right. Well, ecosystems. I think ecosystems are really important, and I noticed some of your awards. Acknowledge the people who are creating connections. Connections are so important in the work that we do, even in the communities that we work with. Those communities that have really strong connections or social capital have such a greater ability to respond to the challenges around them, because they are interacting with each other, they're sharing, they're communicating, they're leveraging resources in the community that perhaps you might not sort of formally be able to access. So being able to strengthen networks and the way that people interact, and the dynamics of that, the health of the system as such, is so important for us all to address the challenges that we are facing, whether that's in your local community, whether that's in the business community, or even cross sectors. We talk a lot about mission-led approaches, and I think that is a fundamental condition, is to strengthen the health of those ecosystems, whether it's technologists, whether that's policymakers, whether that's UX folk, or even frontline staff in the mental health space. Bringing all those people together and creating those ecosystems that are safe, that are inclusive, that enable others to share knowledge across organizational bounds, often sometimes, beyond sort of potential perceived barriers of competition, is really important for us all to move forwards in any type of progress. So I'm super excited that you are fostering new communities of practice and the new ecosystems to help us learn and to help us come together to do the things that we aspire to do.
There are a lot of helpers out there, busy helpers that don't get that recognition, and they need to understand that their contribution to the business community and the ecosystem is very valued because without those, nothing. They're kind of like a structural elements, the buildings that everything else is built on. And that's very important, I think, for us particularly, and I think for for any business and any community. Um, and speaking on a business, well, more community, there's one award that you kind of like the most, that awards the migrants and First Nations people. Um, is there a particular reason? Have you worked with the First Nation people, and why is that so? Why is that particular category interesting for you? That's as a last question to get you to get off that rain.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited about this award. At the Australian Centre for Social Innovation, we are fundamentally committed to self-determination. We are humbly learning and continue to invest in learning around First Nations people, the knowledge and the wisdom that they bring. And I think it's really important in any social innovation space, or any broader business innovation space as well, is to really deconstruct some of the power structures that have held inequalities in place in Australia. And whether that's through our education system, whether that's through bias in the way that we award and recognise success, or even define success, and to respect the wisdom, the knowledge that is shared in these spaces. So, I think it's really important that we make space, um, and listen humbly and learn humbly, to ensure that we right right the wrongs that we have all been complicit in.
Thank you so much. I see that rain is kind of getting to you quite a bit. It was really wonderful to chat to you uh, and hear your thoughts. And you're doing an important work for our communities and societies. And I can't wait to have you see some of the entries that will come into Pause Awards 2021. Thank you so much for your time today. And it's time for you to go in some under the in-house, some of the sort of cover.
Thank you so much, George, for having me. Definitely rainy here in Sydney now. I'm really excited about the awards, and looking forward to seeing who enters. So thank you so much. I'm truly humbled to be a part of the Pause Awards this year.